The 52nd G7 summit is in full swing, happening in Evian, France from June 15 to 17, where top leaders from the world have gathered together. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the outreach session on forging new partnership and rebuilding international solidarity at the G7 summit. In his intervention, the Prime Minister underlined that in an interconnected world where energy, food, health, cyber, and economic security are intertwined, building international partnership was a necessity for the progress and prosperity of humanity. He further added that in an uncertain world, trade and technology were being misused for narrow interest, leading to a trust deficit in the international arena. Alluding to the lessons from the COVID pandemic, he called upon nations to focus on building trust and transparency in global partnership. Sharing India's approach to international cooperation, Prime Minister stated that India has always followed the principle of humanity first, and this thought continues to be at the center of his efforts. He also stated that lack of respect for international law has been the biggest hurdle for building international solidarity and need to be addressed as a priority. He emphasized that an international partnership needed to prioritize dialogue and diplomacy for ensuring peace and stability. Alongside Prime Minister Narendra Modi also met Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada on the sidelines of the G7 summit. The two Prime Ministers welcomed the positive momentum in the India-Canada relation and noted with satisfaction the progress achieved since Prime Minister Carney's successful visit to India in March 2026. Reaffirming their commitment to building a forward-looking strategic partnership, the leaders underscored the complementarities between India and Canadian economies and highlighted the importance of resilient and reliable supply chains in strengthening global energy and food security. The leaders reviewed progress in bilateral economic cooperation, including development in commercial arrangements relating to LNG, LPG, and metallurgical coal. They noted the recent visit by Indian Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, to Canada and looked forward to the forthcoming Canadian trade mission to India to be led by the Minister of International Trade later in 2026. Both sides expressed satisfaction with the progress in negotiation towards a comprehensive economic partnership agreement or the CEPA and reaffirmed their shared objective of concluding the negotiations in 2026. The Prime Minister welcomed the strengthening of institutional engagement between the two governments, including the recent meeting of the Joint Science and Technology Committee and the Consular Dialogue. They also looked forward to the forthcoming dialogues in the areas of defense, finance, and migration. A bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Sir Keir Starmer, also concluded today. The two leaders reviewed the strong momentum in India-UK relations since the reciprocal visit of Prime Minister last year and welcomed progress across all pillars of Vision 2035, including trade, economy, growth, defense and security, climate actions, and green energy, technology, innovation, education, and people-to-people ties. The leaders looked forward to the early entry into force of the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. They expressed satisfaction with the robust education partnership, noticing the recent progress with the University of Liverpool to establish its campus in Bangalore, and with the University of York in the University of Bristol for the campuses in Mumbai. Prime Minister Modi welcomed the steady progress under the Technology Security Initiative, including the recent launch of the India-UK Critical Mineral Global Supply Chain Observatory. The leader also exchanged views on regional and global developments of mutual concerns, including West Asia and Ukraine. They reaffirmed their shared commitment to further strengthening the UK-India comprehensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also met with the President of United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, at the sidelines of Evian. This was the third meeting between the two leaders in 2026, reflecting the strong and vibrant India-UAE comprehensive strategic partnership. The two leaders reviewed and progress and the positive developments in bilateral cooperation, including the areas of technology, trade, investment, energy and defense flowing from the visits of UAE's President to India in January 2026 and that of Narendra Modi to UAE in May 2026. The two leaders also exchanged views on regional and global development of mutual interest. Prime Minister underscored the importance of dialogue, diplomacy, and respect for international law, sovereignty, and territorial integrity in advancing enduring peace, security, and stability in West Asia region. The two sides called for continued free, safe, and unimpaired navigation, trade, and commerce through the Strait of Hormuz. India has lost three of its brave sons, and Prime Minister Modi has made it clear at the G7 summit that this sacrifice won't go in vain. Every Indian lives matter. When India believes in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, world is one family, he means it. But the world has to reciprocate for a global solidarity. That is it for today's video. I'm Shreya signing off. Thank you for watching National Defense.